Why hello there. Let me get right to the point with this one. The Glintstone Arc. It's a horizontal arc of magic that spreads as it continues its path. It's also very good at taking out groups of enemies. It requires only 13 intelligence to use, and it can be easily obtained by starting as the astrologer, or it can be purchased in the world at a low cost by these two vendors. And for this challenge run, it's my goal to beat the game with this sorcery. Now on to the rules. The main weapon / sorcery of use for this run is going to be the Glintstone Arc. And because I started as a wretch, I'm going to be using no armor except for a helm. And one last thing, there's no upgrading vigor. The reason for that is just to make my life even more difficult. Early game it doesn't really mean much, but later on in the game, it's pretty much just a one shot, one kill from everything. This is Warnock Gamer 4. Leave a comment and or like for the algorithm. Every little bit helps the channel grow. And now sit back, relax, and or listen as I try to beat Elden Ring with the Glintstone Arc sorcery. Alright, to start off, it's time to exit the tutorial and go into the land of Elden Ring. Where to start off, I got my horse, a jellyfish that I'm not going to use till later in the game, and now it's time to start grave robbing a bit. Hey, those people in the coffins aren't going to be using their golden runes, so I might as well take advantage of that. And now with all the ethically obtained runes, it's time to start popping them. And with these acquired runes, it's time to buy the Glintstone Arc from Fops. Also, I'll be getting the Starlight spell as well, because I decided why not make my life a bit more difficult and add an extra rule to the run. Starlight has to be active in order for me to use the Glintstone Arc. With that new rule placed in, it's now time to head into Caelid in order to pick up the Meteorite staff, which is pretty much the best staff we can have right now here in the early game. Now it's time to farm for a bit so I can actually use the staff that I just got. With this level up, I bring my intelligence up to 18 and my mind to 12. With enough FP, I'll be able to spam this spell like an absolute madman. But for now, I'm just gonna make do with what I've got. Now it's time to head over to Raya Lucaria in order to get a talisman that will boost my sorcery damage up by like 5%, I believe. But of course, I have to go through the obstacles that are magical machine guns and a bunch of rabbit dogs that have no concern over their own health. But after sneaking about a bit more, I take down an illusionary bookcase and then get the damage I was just talking about. Now I believe it's a good time to head over to Stormveil Castle, but before that, I show how this spell is absolutely proficient at taking out groups of enemies. Look at them all just fall like dominoes. Yeah, you don't want any of this, bud. With the mass elimination and demonstration over, it's now time to fight against Margit. Margit here, as the first boss of the run, is easy. The damage I do to him isn't that spectacular, but luckily I can just spam the spell. And as long as I have stamina and focus points, I'll continue to do so. And now the rest of this fight is pretty much as basic as it gets when fighting bosses. Just a whole lot of dodging and attacking, and of course the questionable hitboxes here and there. Yep, it doesn't get much more simpler than this. The fight lasted about a minute and 40 seconds, and hopefully the fights continue just as simple as this one. And with the runes obtained from the fight, I level my intelligence up to 27. Then I head over to the Frenzy Flame Tower, just to take care of this eyesore of a location because it's in between me and my current objective. And that's just to fight the Earthtree avatar that's nearby the place. The reason why I'm fighting this guy is just because he drops a certain item that I need for my Physic to increase my magic damage. His fighting AI is very simple to deal with, but my health is very low, so I'm very easily one-shotted. I really need to keep an eye out for my stamina usage, because if I don't, it's gonna get me killed more frequently. It was very easy to hit him after he finished an attack chain, but he'd usually afterwards send out projectiles to try to hit me. And it was a little too frequent in this fight for my taste. But eventually the giant firewood goes down, and I get what I came here for, which was the magic shrouding crack tier. Yeah, give me that plus 20% more magic damage for 3 minutes. Great, with that over, it's time to head over to Fort Heights. The reason why I'm here is because I need two things from this location. One is 1/2 of the medallion that I need to access Altus Plateau, and the other one is to fight this knight here in order to obtain the Ash Award, the Bloody Slash. I need this to lower my health down to critical levels. Up next on the location list is Fort Farum, where I discover how disgustingly glossy I become whenever I come in contact with the rain. Ugh, I'm so old and wrinkly. But anyways, I'm just here for the second half of the Dectus medallion. And after presenting the whole medallion piece, I now have access to Altus Plateau. But I'm not going to be doing stuff here, not just yet. Time for me to get another talisman near the scenic Isle side of Grace. And now I just need to make it nighttime in order to fight the death bird that's just right near the Grace. This guy was not that difficult to take down, and I was even able to stagger him. And after the final blow, I get the red feathered branch sword talisman, which increases my damage whenever I'm in low health. Now it's time for me to buy a dagger and put the bloody slash Ash of War into it. The difference in this character's full health and low health pretty much makes no difference, as the majority of the enemies are just gonna one-shot me. So it's better to make the most of this situation, because I'm pretty sure a gust of wind is more than capable enough of destroying me. Now it's time for me to level up my intelligence to 30. And now it's time to head back to Stormveil Castle to actually tackle down the location. Betrayal. And of course this place is very unforgiving, can't forget that. But luckily for me, it's a bit trivialized, as I can use my blue wave of death to take out my enemies. It's also good at taking out enemies behind cover, as long as the middle part of the wave doesn't hit something. I'm actually quite liking this mob deleter spell very much. With the population of the castle in near shambles, I activate the grace near the boss fog, and now it's time to fight Godric, who's pretty much all but golden. Godric here, just like Margit, was just a simple spam to win fights. Just gotta make sure that I dodge his wind attacks, because the timing on that can be a bit tricky. As a result of that is death if I don't. And my distance away from him has to be perfect. For the second phase, I had to dodge a lot of annoying fire. It's easier said than done, of course, because it's a bit butt-clenching at times. But after all that, Godric goes down, and the fight took about a minute and 20 seconds. And I ended up fading 2 times. With the runes I've gained from the boss, I level up my intelligence to 40. And now it's a good time to head back to the Academy of Raya Lucaria in order to fight the red magic doggo that's here, because he's preventing me from getting a few things that I want in the next area. Even though my Glintstone Arc has very good horizontal coverage, the red wolf is very good at dodging it. The only real opportunity I had to deal damage was whenever it used its sword. And if I'm not close enough, it'll just easily sidestep it. But eventually, after a bit of dodging in the wolf's part, he goes down. Also, my little light ran out just at the end. Perfectly timed, except the fight took quite a bit longer than I would have liked. And now with the next area unlocked, I get the Radagon icon, which increases my spell casting speed, which in this game doesn't really mean much unless the spell can be casted back to back. Even then still, it's not worth the talisman slot. Now here again, I showcase the power of the Glintstone Arc, just attacking enemies behind cover. Now I make my way through the rooftops of the Cocoa Church in order to get my new staff. But first I gotta open this ladder shortcut just in case if I fail. Which indeed I did. Damn, this page guy really hates me. But the second time's a charm, as I just dodge the page and get Azor's Glintstone Staff. This staff has the effect of decreasing the casting time of spells, just like Radagon's icon, but that's at the expense of spells being more expensive to cast. Also, the minimum intelligence requirement is 52, which is a little too much for such a staff. But I'm going to be using it till the end of the game. And with that declaration, it's now time to get upgrade materials for the staff. Good thing it upgrades off of Somber Smithing Stone, because normal Smithing Stone is a bit more difficult to come by early game. Also, while collecting the stones, I picked up this Cerulean Tear Scarab, mistaking it for the Glintstone Tear Scarab. And all this does is increases the amount of FP I get per flask of my Cerulean Tears. And because of how small my focus point bar is, it's pretty useless right now. also decreases my health by 5%. But that doesn't matter in the totality of it all. But anyways, it's time to become an eco-terrorist joining the Volcano Manor. And the only reason why I'm here traversing lava like a madman and getting executed after cutscenes is because I want a Somber 7 smithing stone, and the only obstacle here is the Godskin Noble. I hate this guy so much just because of his one attack alone. In this fight I took absolute advantage of the Glintstone Arc's ability to just phase right through cover. It was especially effective when he tried to use his roll ability on me. Nothing beats hitting the enemy while being absolutely safe. Eventually the large skin noble goes down, and with the use of 2 stone keys in the next area, I make my way down some suspended cages and pick up the Somber Smithing Stone 7. With that I go to Dragon Barrow in order to get Somber 8 and 9, which are very easily obtainable. With that I head back to Raya Lucaria just to fool around a bit. But also I'm here to deal with the guys that spawned the boulder. Because here at this location I can get the Glintstone Scarab. It decreases the amount of FP my sorceries use up, but it also reduces my defense just like the current scarab I have on my head. Also, this guy did not give a rat's ass when his buddies died and just continued to read. Truly a man in the pursuit of knowledge. But anyways, it's now time to upgrade Azor's Glintstone Staff to +9 and also bring up my intelligence to 48. I don't have enough intelligence to wield the staff properly currently, but the intelligence not crystal tier fixes that. Also, here's a little demonstration of the casting time difference. One without Radagon's icon or staff, and the other one is with both of them equipped. After that demonstration, I get the grace at Redmane Castle, and also the one at the upper floor of the Carian Manor. I'm going to be going to these areas shortly, but first it's time to fight another death bird, and this one's a bit more chunkier than the other one. Also, being on Torrent was not a good idea, at least for me, as I tend to work better on foot. Also, the immunity frames of rolling are very nice. And just like the other death bird, I just kept my distance and he eventually went down. And now my reward is the Twin Bird Kite Shield. It pretty much works like the Red Feathered Branch Sword Talisman, except the damage increase is only 5% and there's a small little bonus increase to defense. I'm just gonna be equipping it to my left hand just so it can give me the benefit passively. It's not a lot, but it's still something that helps me. Now after obtaining the shield, I farm a bit more in order to get my intelligence up to 52. With this, I'm no longer tied to the 5-6 time limit. And now with my upgrades, it's time to fight Royal Knight Loretta, where one singular attack can just lead me to failure. Luckily, even though she has good magic defense, my Glintstone Arc sorcery does still good damage to her. With Loretta defeated, I can now go into the next area to speak to Ronnie, and the only reason I do that is just to meet Celivis. And to get the item I want from him, I need Starlight Shards and the Amber Starlight Shard. And after he sends me on an errand, I just throw away the potion, obtain his second puppet, and after giving him the Amber Starlight, I get the Magic Scorpion Charm. With this, my magic damage increases by 12%, but I also have 10% less defense. And now it's back to Redmane Castle. Listen to an unfortunate sob story about Radon. And now it's time to beat the big guy himself. And for this fight, I'm going to be summoning some allies to help me. All they really are is just for a distraction, as I deal most of the damage here. Now it's just time to spam, spam, spam. And once his health is low, Radon just flies off. Thanks for the heal, Finger Maiden. I didn't need it. Also, I got stuck during the fight, which led me to panic a bit. If I didn't get stuck there, I would have had the chance to just end them here. Also as well, thank you Torrent for taking the hit for me. I could have died there. And after Radon lands back down, I pretty much just horse drive by him and he goes down. The fight lasted about 2 minutes and 45 seconds, and with the second Great Rune obtained, I get a Talisman Pouch. Also, Radahn's Remembrance gives out a good amount of runes, so that means it's a good target to make duplications of. So right now it's time to pay a visit to Walking Mausoleums. Just look at all those runes. It's so beautiful. And with that, it's time to focus my level ups to Mind and Endurance. Mind is now at 22 and Endurance at 12. Now it's time to set up my low health and then die because of an unfortunately placed rock. Into the small things that can delete you. But after that failure, it's time to spam down the Draconic Tree Sentinel. And after 2 volleys, he's down to 1/3 of his health. And now the rest of the fight is waiting for him to finish his attack so I can attack. I'm surprised my little light didn't go out during the fight. With the Sentinel down, I have access to Leyndell, the royal capital, which after traversing rooftops and dodging the unobtainable electrical great arrows, I decimate my own health in order to fight Phantom Godfrey right after. This version of Godfrey was surprisingly a very simple fight. There were times that he just let me hit him. And other times when I Glintstone Arc him, he responds with an attack that's easily dodgeable. And because of this, the game is pretty much telling me that the real Godfrey is going to be pretty easy to take down. With the Phantom defeated, I get the final Talisman pouch, then level Mind up to 24 and Endurance to 16, then do a bit of backtracking to head into Murkwater Cave, but first gotta deal with this invader here, which couldn't take the heat of my Glintstone sound wave. Then next up was Patches, who couldn't take his lumps. And now I buy Margit's Shackle, prepare my low health, and now it's time to fight King Morgott. Morgott's first phase was very easy to take down, as the Shackle pretty much just trivializes this part of the fight. In the second phase, I kept my distance as far as possible from the boss. I don't want any small knife accidentally nicking me in the fight. And after one final bit of chain casting, he goes down. The fight took about 1 minute and 5 seconds, and I only ended up dying 1 time. For right now, distance is the name of the game for this challenge run. It provides me with safety, but oh boy am I gonna regret it conditioning me to stay away from the bosses. But for right now, the current me is making his way up to the Mountaintop of the Giants, which requires a whole lot of traveling just to get from grace to grace. But now that I'm here, it's time to reunite a jellyfish with her sister in order to get the Primal Glintstone Blade, because why not reduce my already tiny health? It reduces my maximum HP by 15%, but it also reduces the cost of spells by 25%, and my health now is incredibly low. Now it's time to head into Castle Soul, where the residents here are a bit extra aggressive than I'm usually used to. Seriously, they barely gave me any time to breathe. But I was able to get the shortcut for later. Then I make my way further up the mountaintop, where I wash a hand to crush a poor and defenseless bird. And also get the Grace right next to the boss. What a disgusting looking thing. Now I do a quick little level up, bringing my endurance up to 20. And now it's time to fight the Fire Giant, whose attacks are between a fine line of fairness and absolute bullshit. But the actual fight for Fire Giant himself wasn't that hard. Because of how slow he was, he gave me a lot of opportunities to hit his weak spot. The only real thing that was protecting him in this fight was his inflated health. With the first phase done, we now witness a very brutal cutscene of him breaking his leg. Self-inflicted, I assure you. Now here in the second phase, it's time to continue spam casting my sorcery. and after a minute and 55 seconds, the fire giant goes down. Luckily, this fight only took me 2 attempts to beat. Now before we continue with the story and the burning of the non-character, now I believe it's a good time to head back into Castle Sol and fight Commander Nile and his little butt buddies. And unfortunately for me, after fooling around with him for a little bit, I forgot that he was pretty capable of just inflicting frost on you, which of course led to my death. Anyways, to start the fight off, I make a quick mad dash to the right of their starting position, and then just start wailing on them with Glintstone Arcs. It was a pretty good way of eliminating the spirit summons along with hurting the actual boss itself. And now the rest of the fight is pretty much just a whole bunch of dodging and spamming. And after about a minute and 22 seconds, Mr. Lightning Pegleg goes down. 1 death was all it took for me. With the boss defeated, I now steal 1/2 of the secret medallion from this ghost right here. And the second half, I get it from this old man that's inappropriately touching me. Hey old man, lay off the merchandise. Whoa! Bad touch. Now up next, it's the painful cycle of accidentally using the wrong medallion here at the lift. It happens a little too often for me, I swear. After that back and forward, I now go through the crypt that they lift places me in. Then level up a combination of mind, endurance, and intelligence. And up next, I spam my way to victory against an NPC invader here. Funny how the AI can't take the spam. And my reward for being an absolute dick is an ancient somber dragon smithing stone. With this, I can now fully upgrade my staff. But that's of course if I remember to do that. And now to end off the Consecrated Snowfield, I enter the jail at the liturgical town, where everything is mean and absolutely hates me for no reason. The objective of this place is to light up a bunch of candles in order to access the next area. But with everything here gunning for your death and spamming attacks, it's easier said than done. And unfortunately for me, on the way to the last candle, I get lovingly embraced. Very intimate here, it really stomps my heart. But eventually the 5th time's the charm and I light the final candle. Then in the next area, I die by bubbles. But after that minor setback, it's now time to head down the Haligtree, making sure to avoid everything that's trying to kill me here, because trying to reach the shortcut takes a bit of a journey. With the shortcut obtained, it's now time to head back and burn the maiden, then run my way through Farum in order to get the grace that's right next to the Godskin Duel boss fight, then head right back to the Haligtree to fight Loretta. It looks like a whole lot of back and forthing for no reason, but I can assure you, it's just to mentally prepare myself for the upcoming battles. And the fight here against Loretta is pretty much identical to her phantom version at the Carian Manor. Nothing really changed except she now has a few more extra arrows on her bow now. And as long as I keep my distance, I won't be seeing any of her other attacks. This boss fight was pretty much just magic spam versus magic spam. And eventually at the end, we take each other out. The fight lasted about 2 minutes and 42 seconds. And in this singular death came victory. I really do love seeing that rune counter go up after success. And while I'm still here, it's time to continue going forward with the area. Look at this guy just witnessed me kill his buddies and then his head just turns back around. Another stone cold guy here, ever so vigilant at his sentry duty. Now it's time to traverse through the area the relatively safe way. Level my intelligence up to 60. And now up next I gotta deal with some annoying krill enemies. Their projectile attack is pretty damn unfair if you ask me, just because of its hyper aggressive homing. Just look at that shit. And now that I've made it to the very bottom of the tree, I think it's a good time to just deal with Malenia right now rather than later. So it's time to get this show on the road. And by that I mean showcase my very timely deaths. Because of this, I take a little detour to the Academy Crystal Caves. The reason why I'm here is to get a spell that's gonna help me in my fight against Malenia. But first I gotta deal with the nerds that are down here. And also deal with the Crystallian pair boss fights. They're very easy to deal with as long as you break their stance. With the Crystal Duo defeated, I get Terra Magica. It increases my magic damage by 35% as long as I'm on top of the sigil. And now one more thing before I fight Malenia again, I get the Nomadic Cookbook number 3. And the reason I got this was to have pickled turtlenecks in order to regenerate my stamina faster. It's a nice little bonus, but first I need turtleneck meat, so I have to deal with the bell-bearing hunter here. And he drops the meat peddler spell bearing. With this I can just buy all the turtle meat I need without having to farm them. And the rest of the ingredients are just right here near the War Master's Shack Grace. Now I feel a bit more ready to fight Malenia. During the first phase, I shoot out a pair of Glintstone Arc at her. The reason for this is because she usually dodges the first one, and that leads her to getting hit by the second one. Spamming a bit more for some extra bonus damage is a tad bit risky, because instead of dodging towards you, she ends up lunging at you at times. Aside from needing to dodge a large quantity of waterfowl dances, that's pretty much just most of the first phase. And now in the second phase, I dodge her Scarlet Aeonia, then I put down a Terra Magica sigil and then start attacking her while she's stationary. And now the rest of this fight is pretty much the same as the first phase, and that's to shoot out 2 Glintstone Arcs and pray to RNGesus. Funny how this is supposed to be her ultimate attack, but it does her much more harm than good. Also during the fight, my little starlight ran out and I completely forgot about it. I was a little too focused fighting Malenia that I didn't realize that it disappeared. Good thing it doesn't penalize me or anything, because it was just a fun little addition to the rules. And after one last Scarlet Aeonia attack to seal her fate, Malenia goes down. The fight lasted about 10 minutes and 31 seconds, and I ended up dying 4 times. Holy moly, that dance is cursed. Let me use something a bit more appropriate. There we go, even though it looks a bit wacky. With Malenia defeated, I used the runes I gained in order to level up my intelligence to 70, and now it's time to fight against the Godskin duo with no sleeping pots. I swear, whenever the fatty rolls, I always die an unfortunate death. But there's no reason to stop now because I have the advantage. Because of how wide the arc is, occasionally I can just shoot right through the pillars and hit them both. The only real problem I had in this fight is that when the fatty became a bulldozer, the second Godskin decided to get a little too close for comfort. Don't mind me. After one goes down, I had to fight with the camera a bit because of how wonky it is sometimes. Then continue to use the terrain for my advantage. And while Skinny was trying to bring back the blob, I quickly bursted him down. And now it's smooth sailing from here. I just bring down the noble's health, get him stuck, and spam him down from here. The fight lasted about 3 minutes and 29 seconds, and I only ended up failing 1 time. But at the end of that fight, I leveled up my intelligence and mind by a little bit. And now while going through the next area, I struggled a little too much for my liking. And it's all because of the lightning, which I eventually turned off by eliminating the dragon. The birds with their large lunge attack. And this annoying beast at the end. For the birds, I just took them out one at a time. And for this guy at the end, I just had to dodge at the right times. And after that, the rest is easy. And once I got the Grace under the Great Bridge, I decided to deal with the Draconic Tree Sentinel again. And aside from the increased health, the fight really didn't change that much. but I did find out that I can shoot out a Glintstone Arc after the horse shoots its fire. Looks like spamming that fire and lightning didn't work out for you, Draconic Tree Sentinel. And now finally it's time to deal with the main boss of this area, which is Maliketh. The first phase of the fight was a walk in the park. Again, because of how the Glintstone Arc spell works, I just stay behind the pillar and safely shoot at him. With the first phase taken down quickly, now here in the second phase, the fight slows down by quite a bit. Can't really use these pillars much to freely attack anymore, as I now run the risk of getting hit easily. And the one thing I don't want to do is die and get taken to the loading screen. And after getting a little bit too greedy, but at least being successful, Maliketh goes down. The fight lasted about 2 minutes and 58 seconds, and I only ended up dying one time. Great, now it's time to upgrade the only 3 attributes I've been leveling up this entire challenge run. And now it's time to fight Spam versus Spam against Gideon. Even though Gideon here is considered a boss, he pretty much just works just the same as the other NPCs I've fought already. How does it feel, Gideon, having a taste of your own medicine? The spam is endless. Well, as long as I have enough stamina for it. It appears like he couldn't take the heat of it. After that, another quick little level up of my intelligence up to 78. Prep my already minuscule health to activate my shield and talisman. And now it's time to fight against the real Godfrey. First Elden Lord Godfrey. Mr. I can't take out a one-trick pony Godfrey. Because his first phase AI is pretty much the same as the Phantom version that I previously fought. This phase didn't require much thought into it except for, you know, the usual dodging. And whenever I'm out of reach of the axe, I just attack. Now at the start of the second phase, I got lucky with a double attack by the courtesy of the face change and cutscene. And also in this phase as well, he has lower magical defense. And I was able to stagger him as well, allowing me to spam and deal a massive amount of damage. And after that, it was just a smooth and clean kill. Poor Godfrey here only lasted about 2 minutes and 4 seconds. Also, I suffered no deaths. I leveled up for the final time, and with the amount of success that I've had, everything was going very cheeky-breeky here. But oh boy, I did not know what was ahead of me. And that's the absolute hammering that I got from Radagon, and the tiny tickle damage that I received from the Elden Beast projectiles. I can take Radagon beating me to a pulp, but when it comes to the Elden Beast only needing to nick me in order to eliminate me, that's what truly gets under my skin. One stray projectile is more than enough to eliminate me, and the Elden Star is just overkill. Yeah, no, I died one too many often amount of times. Because of this, I took a little quick detour to the Lux Ruins in order to get the Ritual Sword Talisman, which increases my damage at full health. Even at full health, the Elden Star still destroys me. Also, I'm a little too susceptible to damage against Radagon at a distance. Remember what I said when I fought against Margit about developing a bad habit of keeping a distance away from the boss? Yeah, this is the result of it. I died a lot of times before changing this tactic up. So to fix that, it's time to absolutely go close range on this fight. First, let me set my health up, and it's time to go in. For Radagon, I pretty much just stayed at near melee range in order to hit him. The reason for changing this tactic is in order to lower the chances of him shooting out projectiles. I fear his holy darts more than his hammer. With Radagon down, I now quickly drink my Physic, eat the turtle, refill. And at the start of the Elden Beast, I commence the Glintstone Arc spam. I was a little too close to the fire there. Afterwards, I try to keep as close to melee range as possible against the Elden Beast, while of course trying my best to avoid the projectiles. My biggest dread right now is the Elden Stars, because one little hit is enough to take me out. And as his HP gets lower than half of his health bar, that's when he starts using Elden Stars. But if I position myself right and he shoots it out, I can pretty much just run right past him and completely dodge the Elden Stars as long as I keep running. After so many deaths, I finally learned how to dodge it. And it's all thanks to these two videos. With the most problematic attack evaded, it's now time to finish this fight. And after 6 minutes and 54 seconds, the Elden Beast goes down. Time for a victory dance. Okay, that's pretty cringy, let me stop that. And now for the amount of times I've died. I've failed 49 times. Holy moly, that was a whole lot of deaths. That is a serious difference between the second most amount of times I died against a boss in this challenge run. Second place was Malenia with 4 deaths. Whoa. No, game, please, why? Whoa! Hey, what the bloody hell was that? But in the totality of it all, it doesn't matter. This challenge run is over. I have beaten the game with pretty much just using the Glintstone Arc sorcery. And let me say, I had a fun time in this challenge run. It's nothing like the Pocket Rocket in my previous challenge run, but it's a very spammable spell. Also, I very much enjoyed that I was able to hit enemies right behind cover. I love how the Glintstone Arc is able to hit enemies behind cover as long as the middle part of it doesn't hit anything. Also, Azur's Staff and Radagon's Icon combo did not feel like it was worth it. I kind of felt like it was kind of redundant, honestly, but it doesn't matter now. Now, would I suggest you using the Glintstone Arc as a fun little challenge for you to try? Why, of course I would. The amount of horizontal range it has is very good. And if you're the type of person that slowly goes through the area taking care of the mobs here and there, then you'll especially love this spell. And as for Radagon's Icon and Azur's Staff, I suggest you use one or the other, but not both of them at the same time. The amount of virtual decks it gives you for combining both of them is not worth it. Well then, this is the end of the challenge run. It is now time to end the video. This has been Warnight Gamer 4, and make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and click the bell notification for alerts when I post a new video. And also, thanks for watching this video and my previous videos if you have as well. Later.
An age of fracture.